Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam on this Mental Wellness Monday. We are proudly brought to you by the OBBM Network. You can catch us on all your streaming platforms. What's going on, Sam?
Hey, welcome back, Instagram family. It's good to be there. LinkedIn, we're crushing it on LinkedIn. We want to thank all of you folks out there on LinkedIn. We love you, LinkedIn. Thank you so much, and thank you for tuning in each week. We have great back and forth tonight. Wherever you're watching from, I don't think you can comment live from Instagram. You might be able to. But the comment stream is open because, John's going to tell us about how tonight's going to work.
Yeah, tonight's going to be a little different. We're going to have our featured guest, John Edmonson, on, and he's going to give a little background. But when we talk about post-traumatic stress all the time, we always think traumatic events that happen within our police career. And what sparked this whole episode, and I got to give kudos to Lieutenant Johnny Mack with the NYPD, who runs a great podcast called New York's Finest. This kind of sparked this whole thing. He showed a clip of two officers being verbally abused outside a project, is it either for clicks or, God, they're just making these cops drop their guard. But these two officers were like scared children as they were being filmed. And we don't know if there's a policy that they can't talk, but they showed no police presence. They showed like a cowering effect. And that's a lack of training within the police academy. And the psychological effect and the mental impact this has on our officers on a day in, day out basis, it prevents them from properly doing their job. It causes so many different medical issues within their own body, with all the and we'll hear that from John on the certain chemical dumps that they get. And we want to make sure that our law enforcement are the healthiest and the most professional people out there, on the good side and bad side.
Yeah, and you want to dedicate the show. We have a very special dedication.
In the communist way of Mondami land over in New York, I hate to say it, but crime is, through the roof. And this past week, we, in just a shooting in the Bronx, left a 12-year-old NYPD's child dead because of these drug dealers, because of these gangbangers who think that it's okay at 4:00 in the afternoon to just start having a gunfight on the corner. And this child was just going to the bodega. He had a brand new bike from a neighbor, going to the bodega, going to buy a ball. He was an honored student and a really good kid. And he takes a bullet in the chest. The video is heartbreaking to see this child walk back into the bodega with a bullet in his chest and collapse to the floor. It was just horrible. And, this is the new New York, man. This is no accountability for any of the criminals. No account, yes, they'll arrest them, but they're not stopping it. And one of the residents even said in one of the news articles was, before Mondami, there were cops on every corner. That may have prevented this.
Yeah.
But you know what? They slashed the cops. They slashed the budget. They slashed the academy classes. And now the cops are scarce because they're running to all these stupid protests. They're running all these stupid details, and they're not doing the right thing for the citizens because of the Mondami way.
Yeah, and I know if you guys are tuning in, as you do week after week, we often pick on New York, only because there's a lot of stuff that comes out of New York. But policing overall has definitely changed since John and I have been in. There was, in training, there was a way that when it was your time to go out onto the street or whatever your assignment was, protective detail, you carried yourself in a way where it was, okay, an officer on duty, we're not bothering the officer. The people would just go about their business. And there was no second thought of, let's get in the face and film an officer. Certainly the video that you're talking about, and it's all over social media, you can find it. There's definitely a borderline there where, that's the debate back and forth. My personal opinion, and today's show, this is John and my personal opinion. We're not like quoting chapter and verse, our personal opinion. We're not diving into, the department's rule books, if you will.
Right.
That when you are interfering with a police officer's duties, which they're on their foot beat, to a point where you are preventing their movement, you're preventing them from carrying out their duties. That is a crime. They should have called backup. They should have been moved, arrested, told to move on, disorderly conduct charges. But yes, okay, so we've got a city that really could care less because it's a revolving door. That exists across the board. We talked about the last show in Fort Worth, right here in Texas. When people are like, Texas law enforcement, today, good, bad, and ugly. If you're a police officer that swore the oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, that's in your oath. Hey, that's in your oath. Okay? You don't get to
You got asparagus in your teeth. No, I'm kidding.
You don't get, that was the salad. You don't get to go use your badge to bully the citizens that you swore to protect. It goes both ways, to protect and serve. Okay, so executive protection, you're protecting a person, but you swore an oath to protect the citizens. That means you don't violate rights. That means you're not threatening to arrest somebody for speech. And Fort Worth already lost and had to settle. I say lost. They say settle. You had to pay out big bucks. Not good, because whose money is it? It's ours, right?
Right, it's taxpayers.
You already had to pay out big bucks for a similar type of lawsuit once. We'll see how this lawsuit, that's what I'm hearing. There's another one coming down the pike, because you cannot use your badge to intimidate. It doesn't give you that right at all. So we have that. So wait, John, we have to talk about Kansas, right? Kansas. When you and I were on the job, it's called a chain of command, correct?
Correct.
Was a city council member in that chain of command?
Never.
I certainly don't remember.
City council never had authority over a police officer's actions.
To tell them what to do, right? So, we have we have garbage that is going on in that police department where a city council person decided it was not okay to clap or snap fingers after somebody gave the citizens have a right, like 2 or 3 minutes, whatever it was. What citizen? I mean, you can't clap or snap. You're not my mom, number one, and you're not a lawmaker, number two. And I don't know, snapping and clapping, free expression, that's my right. That's my God-given right. So a young man clapped, and the police actually listened to the city council woman and arrested this young man for clapping.
Reason being on that aspect, Sam, is because we have commanding officers with no balls. They bow down to all these city council people, and the city council thinks they have so much power, more power than they do. Because if the officer didn't do what the city council person said, she would be on the phone with the police chief going, this officer needs to be reprimanded. This officer needs to be this. You know, you have all these stupid politicians in the pockets of the chiefs, and the chiefs are in their pockets and back and forth. You need a chief with balls that's going to turn around to the city council and go, no, my officer is mine, not yours, and hang up.
Yeah. Well, the city council doesn't hire it's the city manager, and the city council and manager are separate. They are separate. They are not the same entity. So, you know, there are rules of engagement in the military. And if a superior officer gives you a rule that violates an ethical code, a moral code, you do not follow it. You don't. You are permitted to say, I will not. So how about, it's not the commanding officer. How about we have police officers that say, ma'am, forget the with all due respect. You're asking us to remove and arrest somebody that claps? No, not happening. We work for you, but we also work for the people in the audience.
What happens?
Until we have the public stop acting a fool, the city council and whatever they think they are trying to tell police officers what to do, they just need to shut up. And until we have police officers that will say, no, I'm sorry, ma'am, sir. That is not our duty. We are not tasked with cleaning up romper room, okay? We are here if somebody is out of line in an aggressive, threatening manner towards you or somebody else, then we can intervene. Snapping and clapping is not threatening. And there has to be a line.
But I agree, there has to be a line. But what we have, Sam, and especially at these city council meetings, is we have police officers that are trained to obey. They can't think for themselves. You know, it's like a puppy. You keep giving him you tell a puppy to bite, give him a treat every time he bites, he's going to want to bite things. You know, but the commanders, the trainers, they're whoever they are, have taught these officers or have reprimanded these officers not to think for themselves and to think for these politicians. And that's where it comes down to. And cops can't think for themselves anymore because they're afraid to.
Well, they have to.
They're afraid to make a decision.
They have to. Well, they have to make the decision whether on the force continuum, right?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
I'm just playing the other side, because if you sit in the classroom, you go through your training, you understand the force continuum, you understand the oath that you took. You know, I'm just saying there's got to be a line, and we need more officers to pay attention and understand that you represent both. You represent both. Everybody's a citizen in that room, just like on the street. Okay. If somebody's acting a fool, you need to deal with it, but we don't violate our God-given rights. You represent the citizens in that manner as well. And we can't use our badge to intimidate. We're not using our badge to be meek. We're using our badge to represent law and order. And I think what we're seeing is that it's a culmination of stress, of burnout, of, oh my God, did I do the right thing? Did I really sign up for a job that looks like this? You and I both know, John, we've talked to a lot of folks that are punching that ticket to get the heck out, especially in the upper ranks, because policing has now gotten to a point where they're saying, I absolutely did not sign up for this. I will not put my men and women in harm's way to be bullied by the public, to be slapped, to be shot, to be punched, to be arrested, and then turned around and right back on the street. So we've got stress coming from all across the board. And I don't want people to think I'm just picking on, we're just picking and pointing out police officers, because when we've come back from a break, because we got to take a commercial, we're going to talk about the feds, because we've got another interesting story about a Secret Service agent that has gone way, way over the edge. So stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% US-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
Hey, did you not get a chance to scan that QR code that popped up?
I was going to. I had my phone in my hand.
I know it goes really fast. So, I'm just going to run this on the bottom of the screen. Right now is your chance to put your money where your values are. Meaning when you are signed up with a contract with the big 3, they take your money and they do whatever the heck they want with it. If you want to support first responders, veterans, family members of, maybe you are a first responder, veteran, or family member of, you want to take advantage of this offer, go to patriotmobile.com/badge, fill out the information. A member of the Patriot Mobile team right here in North Texas will give you a call. You can switch your service and lose nothing. You have everything to gain because you get a month free of service to try it out. And Patriot Mobile uses all 3 of the big 3, which means your service never drops out. And you don't have roaming charges either. That's all free. You get the discount on top of a free month of service for you and your family members. So take advantage of that. Or you can call and talk to them directly. 972-PATRIOT. Tell them a badge of honor sent you by using promo code BADGE. What do you got to lose? Nothing. So take advantage and get lots of freebies. So back to the show.
All right. Welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. This is what we've been discussing is policing then and now, the change in policing. But we left with, now it's even rolled over to the federal aspect where now Secret Service are acting a fool. We've seen it in many different aspects.
It's a cycle.
We see the criticism that one of the highest law enforcement agencies out there, the most highly trained, are slipping. We've seen multiple, and we've heard multiple issues on either failure to do your job or failure to do this or getting arrested for this and now another one came out with something with a frat party. What was that about?
Complete lack of professionalism. And let me just say, the folks in the Miami field office, man, if you were at WFO, Miami, and New York, those were the top 3. And if you were lucky to be assigned to one, I was in New York, it was a blessing. And sometimes the pressure of that can be a curse. But I would like to think that in my time there was definitely a level of scrutiny. Like, you knew if you screwed up, and they just put it out there, you do X, consequence is Y, and they followed through. Okay, there was no hand holding. You knew what the consequence was for dumb stuff. This is a whole new level. Everybody remembers the in South America, Colombia, with all the shenanigans with the we don't need to revisit that, but the ladies of the night say that. Okay, we have a Secret Service agent that was arrested on felony hazing, attempted manslaughter, and battery after it's alleged that it was a fraternity initiation that left the university. It was a law student with life-threatening kidney injuries. I never in my life. It is bad enough what we saw in Butler, PA, and we know that cluster that happened there. We've heard time and time again where the Secret Service is just not. It's not up to par. It's not like when I was there. It just isn't. And now we have this extremely serious case. I don't even know how you get to a point where your behavior is so out of control that you're participating in something like this, attempted manslaughter. I can only surmise that we are now in a culture where we've got people they don't want to be law enforcement. And the people that they're hiring, they've had to lower standards across the board. And it's unacceptable. People's lives are at risk, whether you're a protectee whose life is at risk, or in this case, the use of force against somebody has gone completely out of hand. And I think we should, at this point, bring in John Edmonson, who can speak to some of this incredibly disturbing behavior, so that folks can know, hey, bad stuff happens. If you are stressed to the max, if you are feeling overloaded, if you are ready to punch your ticket, there might be an outlet for you, an outlet that's safe, an outlet that makes sense, an outlet that helps you grow and be a better person and maybe make a change. So without further ado, John Edmonson, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV.
Welcome, John.
Sam and John, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely. Now, John, we're going to ask you to share a little bit about yourself to everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app. Just want to let everybody know that John is a member of A Badge of Honor, our team. He's in the departments with us. He is an expert in trauma and treating trauma, what it looks like. And so, John, I mean, the platter of stuff is big. Can you shed some light on what you think could possibly be going on after you share who you are?
Sure, a little bit. I've been in the game either as a volunteer, a teacher, or a therapist for over 30 years now. And taught for over a decade, worked in communities for about 5 years. And right now I'm presently director of wellness at a residential mental health facility. And we get first responders, veterans, law enforcement in there. And of course, director of programs with these two wonderful human beings, Badge of Honor. And so what I've seen over the years, I watched the video. So John, thank you for telling me about it. What I see is a couple of things. One, there's no healthy aggression on the part of the officers. I mean, my heart goes out to them because I can just imagine what's going on in New York and the politics around that. But there's this trend that's been going on more and more in the psychology world, which is affecting every other aspect of human existence, where they're removing the idea of aggression as being healthy in any level. Masculinity is getting removed and called toxic masculinity, right? And there's these ideals that are being shared on how you interact with people that may make sense in a clinical setting, or maybe make sense in a university, but don't make sense in practical application, right? And I've seen that time and time again. When I look at how these kids or teenagers are treating the officers, what I see is there's no sense of purpose in these kids. They're getting any kind of stimulation or connection outside of this, and they're not being taught any sense of value or character, right? And when you're at that level of emptiness, because I worked in community agencies, I work with those kind of kids, I can guarantee you, and John, you mentioned this before the show, something's going on in their world, right? They're getting abused at home, or they feel like unfulfilled in life, or have no sense of hope, no sense of destiny, no sense of purpose. So they go find these officers because they're assuming they're safe, right? They're not going to hit them, they're not going to do anything back to them. And I see these officers, and they're probably being told to always stand down, which is demoralizing. You kind of see it on their face. But at the same time, the officers aren't being given that reminder of sense of purpose. They look like they're just trying not to get written up, as opposed to trying to make a difference in the world. And I want to hear from y'all too, but I can say this, I've had this experience many, many times. Command presence isn't just about, like Sam was saying, being overly assertive and in people's face. It's about having a presence of, I'm here, I'm showing up, and being mission driven. I don't have a badge. I don't carry a firearm in my job. I don't have handcuffs for people. Although sometimes maybe some people like to handcuff from time to time, but I love them. But people listen and follow me because I have purpose, and I'm on a mission, and they feel that when I'm with them. Even people that are getting in my face, when I was a school teacher, I still loved and cared about them, but we got to deal with that. And when you have that kind of command presence that has compassion with it, it commands a different level of respect. The kind I didn't see, unfortunately, with these two gentlemen.
Wow, that is a lot. You know, we got to take our next quick break. When we come back, John will jump right back into this. Stay tuned.
All right.
See you in a second.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam with our great guest, John Edmonson. We're talking about policing then and now. And Sam, in that commercial that you just ran, you hit on a great topic that we're talking about, and that's situational awareness. Mm-hmm. You know, those two, and John, you're an expert in this field. I don't know the body language of these officers that you saw in that video.
Bad.
Right? Mm-hmm. What was your first impression on the body language?
It presented like defeated, mm-hmm. and that they didn't have any kind of power or authority in that situation. And they weren't aware of their power and authority. So it created almost an invitation for people to mess with them. It looked that way to me.
Yeah, and I felt the same way seeing that video. And, you know, in a world that we're living today, where we're getting cops that are being ambushed, we're getting cops that are being beaten and stripped of stuff, you know, these two officers were more focused and looking down on their phones or whatever. Their authoritative presence, and like you said, you can be compassionate. He doesn't have to push the guy's face or say, "Get away from me," but just the mere authoritative, your voice, your octave, stand tall, back off. I'm doing my job, whatever it is. You can go film from all that, but these two
they didn't even speak.
They didn't, and I don't know what the policy is, but it scared me for these two officers because they're going to be victims. They are going to be victims and be walked over. Even with this video now, I can't imagine what's going on in the precinct that they came from, where their coworkers now viewed this. I feel sorry for them. I do. I really feel sorry. And they shouldn't be wearing a badge. They shouldn't be out there because they're going to get themselves hurt or they're going to get somebody else hurt. Yeah,
they need more training for sure.
Or they need better training, right? Because I see it, my heart goes out to them because I think many of us have been part of organizations where we're being told to do things that just don't make sense to us, and we're told to tolerate things that really don't make any sense, right? And I saw this when I was a school teacher. Luckily, the districts I was in were pretty good districts, but I would hear horror stories of other schools and other districts where the teachers are just completely demoralized, right? And they get this thing called learned helplessness. So we're seeing a version of these two officers. It may not be their authentic version. We're seeing a version of maybe they've been reprimanded or another officer got reprimanded in the same unit. There could be all these things happening that maybe they were told to look at their phones, right? The person who trained them had more philosophy than actual practical application, right? We're seeing that more and more. So they may be great officers and they may have great potential. Could be. Or it could be that they're just not the people right for that job, right? And it's making that decision. Do I want to step up into this position where it's going to be this way and be assertive and people will not like me, right? But I'll do what I'm meant to do. Or is it just not a good fit for me and I need to step out? And I think that's where they're at, because no matter what we do, there'll be people who don't like us, right? But it's why. I want people not to like me because I tell the truth, right? And I stand up for something. I don't want people not to like me because I'm going to cower down.
Right.
I think that's where they're at.
Now, getting back onto that, we talked about the teachers. We're going to talk about post-traumatic stress. Mm-hmm. When we've all experienced some sort of trauma on a job, be it, got into a fist fight or a shooting or seen victims of gunshot wounds, stabbings, robberies, rapes, whatever it was, those mental images in our head. The verbal abuse that our officers across the globe, across the country, are experiencing on a daily basis is having more of an impact than the post-traumatic stress of seeing a traumatic event, because they're internalizing that when they can't vent it out. And you're more of an expert than I am. I'm just reading what I see on Google on this is more of a almost like a domestic violence. You're a beaten spouse, and it's going to come out one day, and we don't know how. And if you're wearing a badge and have a gun and you're supposed to uphold the law, we don't want that to come out in a negative aspect on the community.
Oh, I think it's a great aspect what you're saying, because I think, there's always bad actors in any profession, right? So we have those over there. So forget about them for a second. Then we have people that are actually really good human beings that are worn out and they're burnt out, and then they rage out or they rage in. And so you'll see them go on like the next call, or you'll see them in these situations where they'll be caught on camera now being too aggressive with someone because they feel shame and guilt for how they're responding to that one, right? Or maybe they take it home, and then the kids or the dog or the missus or the husband are the ones that have the brunt of that. And that creates a ripple effect in our society. Or even worse still, they rage in. So now they're having addiction, or their health is being damaged because they have no outlet to express it. And the moral injury that globally officers are taking, and it's unfortunate because the people who are the idiots who get us into trouble, they don't care anyway.
Right.
Good officers are the ones that are really getting hurt because they care and they're trying, but they're getting treated like the ones over here causing the problem.
Yeah, and one of we've got a lot of comments agreeing with what you say, John Edmonson, and the question is it a career commitment or just a job now? And I think you have to almost go city by city, because let's face it, there aren't lines around the corner to take that oath anymore. And we've seen it in enough academies where people aren't able to even make it.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, and I can't see the comments on my side, Sam, but when we talk about a career, we talk about a job, then we talk about a passion. Police officers, firefighters, paramedics, it's not a career, it's not a job, it's a passion. It's got to be something within your soul that wants you to go out and do the job that you're doing because of the mental and the traumatic effects it has on your body. If you're doing this for a paycheck, get out now, because you can go get any other job. If you're doing this as a career for a pension, get out now. There's plenty of other jobs. 99% of the cops do this because they have a passion for it. But our politicians are stripping that passion out. Our politicians and our commanders are beating our passionate officers down and making them leave so they can have these robotic officers that they don't care about that are going to be running the streets. And it's a shitty feeling for any officer to get out there and go, I'm trying to do my job for the good civilians out there, and I'm just being beaten down like a dog.
Yeah. And it is causing them the folks that have the rank, it is causing them to punch their tickets early, because no matter what, they're getting tired of putting their good officers out there to just be utterly abused by their own system.
Which has a ripple effect.
Yep, they make a good arrest, and then we got the DAs turning them back out.
But the young officers of today do not have what we had back in the 90s. The veteran officers teaching us and guiding us and molding us. We didn't have, these young officers don't have the veterans that knew policing, the grunt work, the gumshoe work, the situational awareness to show.
Did you say gumshoe?
Gumshoe, detective.
Did you say that? Yeah. Sorry, every time John says like a word, like a New York word that dates us, I just gumshoe.
But that we're losing veteran officers that are there to mold our new officers into great officers.
Yeah. So
And-
how do we bolster? How do you come to a line that says, please don't leave? We need you to be a sounding board and a role model for the young officers, because if they see you just punch your ticket because it's the unfortunate revolving door with the criminals, how do we do that? Because they're clearly stressed beyond.
No officer with any time on a job, I'm talking 18, 19, 20 years, ready for retirement. No incentive is going to keep them on a job, because they are not going to risk everything they've worked for the last 20 years and lose it over a political issue or a minor issue where they're going to lose everything. They're going to have and leave their family with nothing because of some politician who says you shouldn't have slapped that kid.
We have somebody commenting that says that they have field trainers with barely 2 years experience training and are eligible to promote.
2 years on a job and you're training. That's ludicrous. Yeah. That's ludicrous. And going back to the podcast with Johnny Mack.
That's because we don't have enough. It's because
with the New York finest. Remember when we had that terrorist attack over the summer where you saw the chief jumping the fence?
Yeah, the improvised explosive that was thrown.
Right. You brought up a great point on this, where everybody's praising the chief on jumping that fence. And Johnny Mack, if you're listening, I'm giving you 100% credit for bringing this up, because I wasn't even aware of this. What was surrounded there was during that protest or during that issue over there was all community affairs officers. Nobody ready in tactical gear. Nobody ready to be in a defensive mode. They want to do everything proactively after the fact.
Yeah.
We are not doing the Omni thing. We're not doing we're not stopping it. We're being proactive after the fact. And that's what Johnny brought up. And that's
called reactive.
Right. We're being reactive.
Yeah.
We're reacting to the issue that already happened.
Right.
We're not being proactive
yeah.
and taking things into account first off. And that's what's getting. And I thought Johnny Mack did a great job on this podcast today, bringing that out.
Yeah, we have to talk about folks that are always prepared and there when you need them, and supplying a substance that keeps us going every single day. And that is Ben and Amanda Holmes at East Texas Legends Coffee. East Texas Legends Coffee. It reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming post-traumatic stress to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission: inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. So drink coffee, be legendary. Go to etxlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE for 15% off coffee and merch. And so just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys have that QR code right there. Yeah. So etxlegendscoffee.com. Guys, this is we're all. I know, John Edmonson, you don't have your mug yet.
I don't, but I would say unofficially, it's clinically approved. I mean,
there we go. Unofficially,
they should do studies to see whether or not that cures depression, right? But it may cause a little bit of hyperactivity.
Caffeine does.
So I had mentioned, John was the one that commented when it was a seasonal flavor, a cozy cane that they made. And you actually, your testimonial was, I think this might actually cure depression. It is that good, folks. It is that good. And they will ship to wherever you are. Okay. So take advantage of the 15% off. You can even get 5-pound bags. My favorite, Diablo. And I add a splash of flavor with the spiced maple. John,
you're so bougie.
Well, I like the little bit of flavor, but the flavor is key because it's not an overpowering, leave that nasty aftertaste. We've all experienced that, coffee drinkers. We have. It's not like that at all. John, he loves the cozy cane, and John, the other John, you're in for like a sampler pack. I know that.
I know. I like it all. But anything that's just strict caffeine, man, I'm a junkie.
Yeah. So grab coffee, grab merch. Thank you, Ben and Amanda. I'll see you this weekend at First Monday. So
Sam,
let's get back to it.
Yeah,
Welcome
I think
back
you bring up oh, sorry, go ahead, guys.
That's all right. Welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, with John Edmonson, our clinical therapist, clinical therapist and counselor. John, we've been talking about the impact of verbal abuse day in and day out. We've seen it in domestic violence. We've seen spouses take the lives of their own other spouse because of the abuse year after year after year. With law enforcement, this constant abuse, what type of effects are we looking at down the road, and what kind of medical effects are our officers looking at from just the verbal abuse alone that they deal with day in and day out?
I want to talk about two, John. One is the problem, but also a little bit on the solution, so we can really support our officers. I can tell you, so we have the idea of intergenerational trauma. So things get handed down generation after the next. And I work with many people whose parents were officers or veterans, and they never talked about it, they never shared about it, and their parents were great people, but they had trauma that was internalized. And what we don't express out, either us, our body, or our children will act it out, right? And it's even worse because they don't really know what's going on and why they have anxiety, depression, the children. But many times the parents have anxiety, depression from being in law enforcement. They never talked about it. They keep it shut down. They're also training that habit to their kids by observation, right? And so, on one level, it's got to change in our society. We've gone too far the other way. I think we've got to review when officers are doing things wrong phase, which I think is always valuable and important. Bad actors should be addressed. We've got such an extreme of people are just looking for the clicks to abuse officers, and they'll abuse them until they can't take it, and then they'll turn the camera on once the officer explodes. That creates horrible anxiety, depression, lack of trust, lack of faith in society, right? They're going to begin to isolate, and there's huge effects in that. Part of the solution is going to be finding, therapists that get it, that understand it, whether they're trained or not. They got to understand what's really going on with these officers, not have an agenda on how to, get rid of their masculinity or their assertiveness. And then even peer support groups. There's a lot of good ones out there, but I think we need more. I think officers, I want to support all of y'all in getting together, building teams, building support, getting phone lists out, building traditions, building ideas and core values that are unofficial, that aren't part of your department. Maybe they are, but are part of your way of being, almost like a knight's order. And I think if we built that, it'd have much more resiliency. We see that in mental health. There are tons of peer support starting like 1938 with Alcoholics Anonymous, which, it's not a perfect program, but considering they didn't have anything back then, and one of the people that started was actually an Army veteran, as I understand it. It was that idea of fellowship. It was the idea of coming together. And I think officers would benefit from building that to the best of their ability, because the society may not hear them, but you can hear each other. And I think that's vital.
I agree. A lot of officers, we used to have we had peer support back in the 90s too, but it was at the bar 4 to 4. That was the only way we knew how to open up and talk about it. Now we have some great, like you said, some peer support. Officers starting to talk, but as much as they talk, as much as they vent to each other, that verbal abuse day in and day out, even just standing on a foot post and getting screamed at, going to do your job, getting screamed at, making a car stop, getting screamed at. Man, I'll tell you right now, I would not last in this generational, because I would probably be one of those cops that lose their job for anger issues or assault or whatever, because community is really pushing our law enforcement to the absolute.
John, it's funny that you say that, because some of the videos, like especially when Steve shows it to me, I'm just like, what the heck? And I think it's because when we went through training, there was a clear delineated line. We had the criminal courses. We had what is, what's a disturbance? What is, intoxicated behavior? What is disorderly conduct? Like, we had those classes. So we could, if we made the arrest or we did what we were taught to do, we could back it up in our report. Okay. And we also did not have an entire liberal court system. And again, this goes to where you are policing. We know the bigger cities are the bigger problems. That if it's a revolving door and the arrests that you make, you have it on paper, legit, and they're getting out again. That's the more like, how do I do my job if you're just gonna get out? What's worse, what we're seeing are some of these judges that are letting these folks out that committed violent crime. What do you tell the family of the people that they murder?
They don't care about them.
Right. So when do we start holding these judges responsible? Because I mean, if you went by the law, the police officer made the arrest, good arrest for assault, whatever, disorderly conduct, whatever it is, the judge, if you keep them in, they can't be outside killing.
But on the flip side of that too, Samuel, I'm just going to think back to these two officers that we saw the video on.
Sorry, somebody says we didn't have Chat GPT either, so we absolutely knew how to articulate.
There you go. But
you know,
I'm looking at these two officers again, you know, in front of the projects, right? And they don't show the faces of the guys behind the camera, but it sounded like young kids. So if these two officers decided to be authoritative and lock these two up, I'm telling you right now, the projects would have emptied to support these two. Oh, he's just videoing, he's just a kid. And there would have been a riot. And then you would have had to call multiple units. It's the community's issue that do not back up our law enforcement. And that's where the problem lies. If an elder would have came out of the projects and bitch slapped those kids and said, leave the law enforcement alone, have some respect for law enforcement, that would have changed the whole tune.
Well, now we're going inside family business. And yes, do we need more discipline and accountability? We absolutely do. We need parents to take care of, do what they need to do at home. So we're not seeing a generation that is absolutely out of control. And that's what it is, out of control. But to being an officer, John, okay, so the project's empty, they've got this. That's our job. You are preventing the officers from doing their job. The officers have that demoralized, shoulders down presence. If they had what we were trained, John, back in the day, we would have been like, back up. You want to film? Go over there. And there was a line. And if they crossed the line, they got arrested. If the projects spilled out, oh well, we got back up.
No, I agree 100%.
If they burn down their own houses.
But this is where the mindset is. All these kids, and I call them kids, these young officers are now all second guessing, because I'm sure that was going through their mind. They're all second guessing themselves on what their next thing is, because they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble. They're afraid they're going to do this. They're afraid. And that's going to get them killed. Second guessing on the street's going to get you killed. I remember, and real quick, funny story, God rest his soul. Well, I'm not going to say his last name. I rode with this guy, Tommy, out of the 7-7 precinct back in the day. And we pulled up to a house party with 200 people. And I was a rookie at the time. We got out of the car. We start walking out. And I got my hat on. I got my nightstick. He threw my nightstick in the car, walked over to a garbage can, pulled 2 2x4s out of the garbage can, said, now let's walk in. That's authority. And we cleared out the whole party. But you can't do that today.
On 2, dang, yeah.
Well, you walk in with a 2x4 out of the garbage, and Tommy had a good authority authoritative presence, and he put people in his place. And that's how I learned. I'm like, as a rookie, I was like, now that's education right there.
That is. So John,
nobody got hit. Nobody got hit. It was just holy shit,
it was presence. It was presence. Nobody was hit. Nobody was struck. Presence.
Nope. It was presence.
Yep. And
that's all. No problem. We'll clear it out.
John Edmonson, you have dropped some significant learning tools, and how people can take care of themselves and ask for help. And we have the peer support. Highly encourage it. What's the best way for people to continue? Like, if you want to continue this conversation with John Edmonson, because you're at that stress point, you recognize, man, if I was in that situation, I might bust heads.
I'm stressed just talking about it.
I'm sorry.
We'll huddle up after. I got you, John.
John, just talking about this.
Take a sip. Take a sip of your elixir. You're calming
have 2 cups. Call me in the morning, or call me at 3 a.m.
But how do people find you out there on social? Because I know you're out there.
Yeah, most definitely. I think for private practice, I do see some people. Spots are filling up. But if you go to Psychology Today and just look up John Edmonson, MS, LPC-S, you'll find me on there, and there's a link that'll lead you to schedule an appointment. But at the same time, Badge of Honor has lots of resources on its website, so try those as well. But if you want to talk, reach out to me. I do take insurance for the moment, so that's a great deal. Love to see you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. Yeah, so much. And hey, for all of your departments out there, John plays a key role in what we do in our wellness and resiliency workshops. It's all day. We come to you. And so you can learn. It's all hands-on from our master practitioner, John Edmonson. So, after the show, reach out to us through badgeofhonor.org. We'll go over that as we make the announcements. John, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you. And all of your insights.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always
thanks, John.
All right. Talk to you soon.
He always, he is such a calming soul when you speak to him, and he really brings such value and to every aspect we talk about.
That's because he's the master. He's been doing it. It's that double-edged sword of like giving so much of your being to heal others, and especially in the first responder law enforcement world. And he cares so deeply. And he talks about the need to, practitioners also need to have somebody that they can turn to. And John's got all the bases covered, and he really is. He's a leader learner. And so look him up, Psychology Today, and get in touch. So, we talked about so much. A lot of our partners out there are having amazing, amazing programs coming up August 8th. It is Operation Angel Wing, one of our partners. They're doing a joint event with Carry the Load, where it's a prayer walk and community fundraising event. So how great would it be to have veterans and first responders out there together with the community, building camaraderie? Okay. It is in beautiful Norris, Tennessee. Hey, Tennessee. Thank you for tuning in each week. We love you guys up there. And it's going to be at 5 North Square. And it is on-site registration, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then the walk will happen right after that. And you can pre-register if you like by going to operationangelwing@gmail.com. So that's an email, operationangelwing@gmail.com, and just say, hey, I want to be part of that walk. So shout out to our friends at Operation Angel Wing. Thank you for what you do. September is very, very, very busy. We have got our friends at Sierra Delta, sierradelta.com. Reach out to BJ if you want to take part in their golf tournament. Again, they are raising funds. That is September 21st. And it's going to be an amazing event. So it's all about teaching veterans to train service dogs. So it's that training aspect. And we had BJ on a bunch of shows ago, so you can search the library there. So SierraDelta.com for that. September 25th and 26th, we are taking over Allen, Texas. Come on out, meet John Edmonson, meet John Salerno, meet me and our other team members at Texas Takeover. It is a group that started on X. It is all about living 100%. So if you're there, we want to pick your brains and come on out and enjoy the conversation, enjoy the camaraderie, learn how to live at that next level. Fitness, stress management, you name it, it's all right there in one room. We are totally, every first responder, we want you there. Veteran, we want you there. Family members, we want you there. Not quite appropriate for the youngsters, just FYI. But we want you there. So Friday will be from 7 to 9 will be a meet and greet. And then the next day from 8 to 5 will be speakers. You'll get to meet the vendors and everything. And like I said, we will be there. You want to register, TexasTakeover100.com. Please fill out the registration so Dookie Mikhail can have all of the numbers. That's what he is on X, Dookie. The Dukes. And
the Dukes.
Together. And people from the 100 Club, they're going to be coming from all over. So we really thank them so much. And it is just a place to know that you're supported. You will have a 100% supportive community. All right. So again, TexasTakeover100.com up in Allen. The 28th of September through October 2nd, our friends Joe and Liz Bartholomew, Responders Retreat up in Three Lakes, Wisconsin. There are a few spaces left. This is peer support for first responders in a beautiful setting. Absolutely spectacular. You're in cabins, you're not camping in tents, so you have full structure. And they have guest speakers, they have people coming out to help you. It's geared towards you. Let the stress out, be surrounded by incredible people like you. And that fireside chat, Joe said that's it. That's the big thing that is just amazing for people. So you can register firstrespondersretreat.org. You can see all of our partners, everything on a badgeofhonor.org. Again, you want us to come to your department to do the peer support leadership training or our full 8-hour workshop building wellness and resiliency. You deserve it. You really do. Let's learn to battle the stress and put it in its proper place so you can have a long, successful career as a first responder. So badgeofhonor.org. To all of our first responders out there, we are praying for you, praying for your safety, that you get home safe every single night to your family. So keep doing what you're doing to protect and serve the community. Protect and serve the community. To all of our veterans out there, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. It got hot today, like it. And to all of our active duty service members out there protecting our shores across the globe, thank you so much for what you do. We are praying for your safe return as well, and praying for the souls that we lost in overseas. So she's right here in Carrollton. So prayers go out to her family. John, take us home.
All right, let's start treating our bodies as well as we treat our cell phones to make sure we're fully charged. If our battery levels start getting down, let's recharge. We owe it to ourselves. Peace.
See you next week, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.